What's up, crypto gang? Welcome back to another episode. If you guys are new here, we do a giveaway at the beginning of every single episode, and today's winner is Bharat Sapat. Thanks so much for commenting on the previous video, Bharat. Just sent you some crypto. On this episode, I go over elasticity of demand for Bitcoin. If you guys are brand new to this is a basic microeconomics concept, and I've never seen anybody talking about the elasticity of demand for Bitcoin or even elasticity of Bitcoin, just because it's not necessarily a normal product. And when we talk about elasticity, what we're referring to is when the price of a product goes up, the demand for that product goes down, and the measurement of that is the elasticity of that. We're gonna go over the elasticity of demand of Bitcoin, and this is going to be a pretty deep dive into microeconomics. I'm going to simplify way more than I should just to get to the points here about inelastic and elastic demand of products. And in this video, Bitcoin is going to be referred to as a product. So just bear with me. These are basic concepts, and this is for people to interpret as their way of looking at Bitcoin. So how much more and how much less do people buy based on the elasticity of demand of Bitcoin? Elasticity of demand is a really interesting concept in microeconomics that has to do a little bit with math and coefficients. I really wanted to dive into this and just show you guys that when there are alternatives and substitutes for a product, elasticity of demand does change for that product. I like merging economics into crypto and seeing what the relation could be there. And with elasticity, especially, we are going to be seeing a constant move around this. So I'm not going to say which one of these I think is closest to Bitcoin. I'm more so just sharing it with you guys because none of these are going to be exact. None of these are going to be like, oh wow, that one's Bitcoin for sure. None of these are going to be like that. This is very theoretical. These are things that have to do with the economy as it stands today, like gasoline, like insulin, things like that, like products that have a slight change. Like when the price of gas changes, you don't just jet out to your car and go and fill up your tank. But the reality is that these price changes are always monitored very closely. Elasticity of demand is always tracked of how much more people are buying when the price fluctuates, whether it goes down, whether it goes up, whether the quantity is changing and the price is decreasing or increasing. This is being tracked very closely in the economy. So I wanted to see what it was like in reference to Bitcoin and what people's thoughts were around it. So with Bitcoin, what happens to quantity when there's a change in price? What happens to price when there's a change in quantity? So first, going over inelastic demand. For an example, we're going to use gasoline. When the price of gasoline goes up, the demand for it goes down slightly. On the inverse, when the price goes down, the demand goes up only a little bit here. We're only talking about small incremental amounts of demand change. Inelastic demand-based products, there aren't many substitutes. So when the price changes slightly, the demand fluctuates slightly. So now we're getting into the price of demand coefficients. And whenever I hear coefficient, I think math and I think kind of a scary concept. But the reality is this is pretty basic. It is the percent change in the quantity divided by the percent change in price. So all this is trying to say is that when there's a small change in quantity and a change in price, it's going to be less than 1. For example, a 10% decrease in quantity divided by a 30% increase in the price would give you a coefficient of less than 1 in elastic demand. But when the price goes up, the quantity always goes down with inelastic demand-based products. The point of inelastic demand is that the quantity is insensitive to a change in price. Opposite of inelastic demand is elastic demand. And I remember in my college classroom, the professor, he took out a tennis ball and he threw it up against the wall and caught it as it came back and kept doing that. And he said, this is describing demand right now and how it changes and how quickly it comes back and how quickly I can throw it. That is the elasticity of demand. Now, this means that quantity is sensitive to a change in price. So when price goes down, quantity of demand increases. When price goes up, quantity of demand goes down. For these elastic products, they are going to be luxuries normally. They're going to be products that there are many substitutes for. Now we run into unit elastic demand, which is a little bit more complex. And that is when we're talking about the percent change in quantity divided by the percent in price. As I mentioned before, the coefficient equals 1. And now we come to the mother lode here, perfectly inelastic. And this is where we have a coefficient of 0, the percent change in the quantity divided by the percent change in price has no change. It has nothing to do with the price of change and the price of quantity. So if the quantity goes down really fast or goes up really fast, the price does not fluctuate. It is a 0 coefficient. And then we have perfectly elastic. This is when it is a completely horizontal line across the quantity and demand graph. And this is saying that the coefficient is infinite, effectively. No matter how much of the price they change, demand will not fluctuate. The greater the elasticity of demand coefficient is, the more substitutes exist for the product. So in other words, the greater the elasticity of demand coefficient is for Bitcoin as a product, we're talking about too many substitutions, too much attention going towards the substitutions, and that skewing away from Bitcoin itself, and the elasticity of demand actually changing for Bitcoin. All of these are very core fundamentals to microeconomics, and it's fun thinking about this in reference to Bitcoin. That is it for this episode. I hope you guys like it. If you did, slap a like. It really helps the channel when you guys like this video. So don't forget to subscribe. And also there are going to be links in the description below for more information on this, as well as some of the products that help support the channel. So if you are shopping around for like hardware wallets, you want to sign up for the newsletter for additional giveaways, go ahead and give it a click link below. That'll help the channel out. And I hope to see you guys on the next episode so we can hack your crypto education.